joining today. We have a great presentation for you. Molly is a certified personal trainer and the owner of Move Mobile, which is a personal training organization that she started that offers a lot of different options for you that she could customize essentially to fit for you and what your goals and needs are. Today, she's going to be talking a little bit about her background, where she's at with her business, and what she can offer you and how she can work with you to meet your own personal goals. But before we get started with that, I do want to announce the giveaway. So Molly is generously offering 2 free sessions to today's winner. If you go on to Instagram and like and share the post that we had put out there, we'll be picking the winner at the end of today. So most likely tomorrow you'll get the notification if you're the winner or not. I can share that information with you guys in the chat box below while Molly talks. But without further ado, take it away, Molly.
Alrighty. Hi, guys. Well, thank you for joining. First and foremost, like Allie said, my name is Molly Hennessy, and I am a NASM, so National Academy of Sports Medicine, NASM certified personal trainer. And I started Move Mobile, which the goal in mind is to be a personal training service dedicated to accessibility and also healthy mindset as well as a healthy body. So basically just how today is going to go is, like Allie said, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, about my background in college and up until now, to just kind of give you a sense of who I am, what's important to me, and how I've gotten to where I am today. And then I'll chat a little bit about the process of becoming a client of mine, how my sessions typically look, and how I implement what I feel a healthy lifestyle should be for some of my clients. So to start with an introduction on myself, like I said, I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm local to Buffalo, grew up in the South Towns, been involved in sports my whole life. So, multi-sport athlete in high school, all the way through college. But being an athlete, a youth athlete or a student athlete has definitely massively impacted my career and also just who I am as a woman and my growth and development. So super grateful for that. And I love to give back to the sport and give back to the athletes. I'll talk a little bit more about where my studio is located and how that actually does relate to softball. So I am still involved a little bit. I do, as well as being a personal trainer, I'm also a coach. So I do softball lessons for either pitching or hitting, typically those two, but I have done some fielding and some overhand throwing as well. So it's nice to have everything all in the same building. I've got my little private room, and then I have access to a bunch of batting cages and a whole indoor facility where I'm located. So still involved in the sport, still love it a lot, and it's definitely brought me to where I am today. So like I said, my main sport was softball. I graduated high school from Orchard Park in 2015, and we actually won states that year as a senior, so that was fantastic. And then I had a scholarship to play softball at St. Bonaventure University. Was there for my freshman and sophomore year before transferring to Canisius, which is where I got my degree in sport and exercise healthcare from Canisius College. Graduated in 2019, but at both universities, learned a ton from the strength coaches that I had there. While at Canisius, I actually interned with our head strength coach, Mike Guzda, and I learned a ton from him. He's awesome. Big guy, tattoos, flames up his arms, but the sweetest guy you've ever seen. Very much one of those people where they come off very intimidating, but are really just like a teddy bear. But learned a lot from him. Super smart guy, really pushed us really well to be probably one of the stronger teams at Canisius. We were definitely moving some good weight, which is where I really fell in love with weight training. So in transferring to Canisius, I absolutely fell in love with the weight room from what I was able to do as an athlete and also what I learned from them. That's where I really started to kind of build up my confidence and start to really love strength training and moving some weight around. And with that said, I definitely found a true appreciation for my body there as well. Just continuing to get stronger and continuing to find out what I am capable of and where my strengths lie, which definitely plays a role in how I train myself now, as well as my clients. So I'm very focused on strength and making sure that we're as strong as that we can possibly be while elevating our heart rate to get our bodies moving and just be overall really fit. So growing up, I definitely struggled with body image issues, always wanting to be thinner, smaller, just feeling like I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, just constantly comparing myself, whether it was to other athletes or to other girls at school. I just was so hard on myself all the time, and I hated my body, hated how it looked, and despite everything that it was able to do. So despite being an athlete and despite working hard, practicing every day, getting in the weight room, I just still couldn't fight that mental block of really hating the way that I looked and forgetting about everything that I could do. So that's really where I started to feel that shift, is getting in the weight room, moving some weights around, and just starting to realize, like, all right, no matter what I look like, I can do all these awesome things with my body, and that's what it's made for. It's not really made to just be looked at. It's made to be functional. So really fell in love with that there, which has clearly contributed a lot to my career now. So if it wasn't for that, who knows what I'd be doing with my life. So post-graduating. So went through a little bit of my experience in high school and college, just briefly. But so since graduating, I started working at a gym. So this is all pre-pandemic. Was working at a local gym and learned a lot from them. I started on just like the front desk, more so on the back end of things. So I was front desk and eventually worked my way up to like the management team, where I was like the front end lead in charge of ordering products, whether it be like Gatorades or energy drinks, snacks, doing the banking. So I did a lot of good things there that I wouldn't have had the experience to know. So I had my athletic training, and then I learned a lot about what goes on behind the scenes, so to speak, at that gym. So very grateful for everything I learned there. However, it wasn't necessarily the right fit for me being there. So I was there for about a year, I want to say. Yeah, about a year. And kind of found myself slipping back into those old mentalities where I wasn't as confident in my body. Started to really, really compare myself to not only the other people that worked there, but just the people that you'd see coming in out of the door, which to no fault of their own. I just kind of started to slip back into that mentality. Found myself struggling with that diet culture, and all the toxic rhetoric about weight loss and, wanting to look a certain way and have my goals a little bit more centered on aesthetics rather than performance. So it wasn't quite the best environment for me. And I kind of found myself slipping back into those toxic mindsets, like I said. And it made me really start to doubt myself career-wise. So I had decided to pursue my certified personal training career, started my self-study through NASM and was working towards that, but just kept kind of putting it off, feeling a lot of self-doubt. And the biggest thing that I used to say that I look back on now, and it seems so silly, but back then it was just so ingrained in my head that I just used to always say, well, I don't look like a personal trainer. Someone may not look at me and be like, well, I want her body, so I want to work out with her. So that was always something in my mind, and why I kept putting off finishing my certification, because I wanted to look a little bit more like a personal trainer before I was ready to start the career. So kind of found myself a little stuck in that. And funny enough, the pandemic actually is a huge catalyst as to why I moved from where I was to being independent and working for myself now. So we all know last March, the world shut down and gyms were one of those things. And gyms stayed shut down a little bit longer than other businesses did. So being at home, working out from home, personally, I had not a ton, but I had a little bit of stuff. I had some dumbbells, some kettlebells, some bands, kept it really simple and just decided that I want to be consistent. That was my only goal, that I just wanted to work out every day, no matter what that looked like, whether it was a good long stretch one day and a nice long walk or getting a little bit of strength training in. And started to feel myself shift that mentality again back to just feeling good, feeling fit, feeling strong, and doing it for myself and kind of quieting all that other noise and that comparison. So regardless, despite all the craziness that was going on and being worried about, unemployment and everything being shut down, I did definitely find some good out of that, and completed my certification during the pandemic. I had to sit home, so I had to just buckle up and get it done. Nothing else to do, so got that done then. And I had realized that I didn't want to start my training career in the gym that I was previously working at. So, still shut down. So I had some options, was deciding what I wanted to do. I took a couple interviews at a couple different gyms, which that were supposed to be shut down still. And I realized that a lot of gyms, including the one that I was working at, weren't following that, which, didn't really sit well with me, amongst a couple other things that, from the place that I was working, that just didn't really align with what I believed in. And I kind of got a clear sense of that as well. So grateful to the pandemic for that, for allowing me to kind of center myself again, find what is important to me, and decide that I would rather do things on my own and feel like I'm upholding my own values rather than sacrificing to work for maybe a more reputable place where I may get more clients off the bat and be a little bit more like financially successful off the bat, but it wouldn't feel as authentic to myself. So part of the reason why I started Move Mobile is so that I could kind of put a little bit of a different message out there than we often see in the fitness industry. So the accessibility part of Move Mobile is for sure inspired. Sorry, part of my papers making noise. Part of the accessibility part was when the rest of the world did start opening up, but gyms were still shut down. I was hearing a ton from whether it be like family members or friends about, like, I don't know what to do. Like, my gym's shut down, so I can't work out. And, I would say to people, I'm like, just because you don't have a gym doesn't mean you can't move your body. And, a lot of people would be like, yeah, I get that, but I just don't know what to do. Like, I have no idea what to do from home or out at a local park. So when I first started Move Mobile, I was purely mobile. It was the summertime, things were still kind of shut down. So I decided, let's just get started. I've got a bunch of stuff on my own already. Let me get a couple more pieces of equipment, start training a couple of my friends, find a couple clients, go to their house, meet at a local park. So I really wanted it to be accessible. That was the main thing. So my first couple of clients, we would go to either Delaware Park or Hoyt Lake. I would bring my equipment. They didn't have to bring anything other than their sneakers and a bottle of water, which I suggested, to make sure that they stayed nice and hydrated. But that's pretty much like where we started. Just finding a way to move your body, challenge your muscles, elevate that heart rate, and stay active. That was the main thing that I wanted for just the community in general, is to realize that you don't really need a fancy gym or a fancy gym equipment to exercise. It's super helpful, but you don't need it. So that was fantastic. I loved that. And then the weather started to get a little bit cold, as it does here in Buffalo. So trying to decide what to do as far as that. We were still in the thick of a global pandemic. So I had a feeling that, people may not necessarily want me inside their house. And I was already here at Softball Central doing my lessons that I was doing, more so like here and there, not as consistent. They also had to shut down for a period of time, but because they aren't a gym, they were allowed to open. I don't exactly remember when we were allowed to open, but before gyms could, they were able to open up. And upon talking to the owners, we decided to create a little space for me here at Softball Central, which is where I am right now. So I've got a nice little private studio within Softball Central that I can train my clients. And I've got a couple softball players that also come and train with me, some high school kids, or even one middle school girl that want to get stronger and want to become a better player. So I like having that mix there. That's fantastic. Let me see, I think I got a little bit off topic here. Yeah, so part of the reason why I wanted to kind of branch off on my own, super grateful for this space, is that message that I wanted to send. And the biggest thing that I want to get across to you guys that are listening and all of my clients is that you can't hate yourself healthy. So I think a lot of times we see people feeling like body positivity is either counterproductive because, oh, well, if you just love your body no matter what, then you're not working towards any goals. And that's something that I really want to dismantle in the fitness industry. Loving your body and appreciating your body doesn't mean that we stop working towards our goals. In my mind, that's actually where we start. So I truly believe that working out because we hate our body or because we want to punish it or we want to shed the skin that we're in and become a new person, it may get you started, but it's not the most healthy mindset, and you're more likely to fall off and not stick with it when it feels like a punishment, or it feels like, I'm not enough until I reach these goals. That's something that I really try to hammer home to my clients and get them out of that mindset. I firmly believe that when you start to love your body is where, no matter where you are in your health journey, that's when you can start to make those changes. Movement is a gift to our body. Our body craves it. It wants to move. It wants to continue to be stronger. It wants to be challenged. And that's what helps push us to be the healthiest and the fittest version of ourselves. So yeah, that hating your body might get you started, but it probably won't carry you too far. So working out to be healthy means being fit, being strong, being confident, moving through our lives with just more ease, which just trying to be as thin as possible isn't going to get you those results. So not killing ourselves to just shrink our bodies and become small, rather empowering ourselves through strength training and through challenging HIIT classes. I still want you to get your heart rate up, and I still want you to lose weight if that is your goal, if that's part of what's going to make you a healthier human. Those are the most important things. So making sure our goals are healthy and come from a good place is also super important. So even if we're not necessarily hating our body, but if our goals are either unrealistic or maybe not the healthiest for the way that we were built and created, then that's something that I work with my clients as well, is finding appropriate goals that'll help improve the quality of your life rather than bring it down and just really take a toll on you. What people don't realize is either under eating, depriving yourself of nutrition, or overly exercising to the point where you're on a cardio machine for an hour or even longer, just trying to lose as much weight as possible. That can actually really damage our bodies, and it can make you more tired, more lethargic. Strength training and training in a healthy way should give you more energy. You should feel like you can move through your day a little bit easier. It's going to improve many facets of your life, more than just how you look. So yes, we can definitely get to a point where we have an aesthetic goal in mind that we can meet, but we want to meet that in a healthy way, and we want to make sure that we're hitting all those other points of wellness and not just the way that we look from the outside. The way someone appears does not always correlate to their fitness level. We see that, and I love that we're seeing that more so on the internet right now. We're seeing a huge body positivity movement where you'll see someone that may traditionally either think they're overweight or be told that they're overweight, or maybe they carry a little bit extra body fat than say other people do, but then they share a video of themselves repping out bench press or repping out squats or doing hard exercises where they're like, I'm still fit. Just because you don't look at me and see an Instagram fitness model, I'm still healthy and I'm still strong. And that's for my doctor to determine whether or not I'm unhealthy or not, or a fitness professional to determine. So I really love that I'm seeing a little bit of that shift on the internet. And just in social media in general, definitely on TikTok. I see a lot of the body positivity girls on TikTok, which is great. Because especially if you think about who's on TikTok, it's a lot of younger kids. So I like that they have a little bit of that to see nowadays. Because I remember when I grew up, in the early 2000s, it was low-rise jeans and hip bones and skinny, skinny, skinny. And I looked at all those people that I saw either on TV shows or just like in those like magazines like Tiger Beat and stuff like that, where I looked at those women and I didn't see myself in any of them. When I started to watch a little bit more college softball when I was younger, before I actually became a college softball player myself, I started to see that there, which that definitely also played into my confidence that I developed while in the weight room myself. I looked at these girls that I emulated so much on the field and saw a little bit more booty and a little bit more legs and even a little bit of tummy. And, I realized like these girls are peak athletes. They are some of the best. And that's more so what I look like than the girls that I see on TV or in the magazines. So that wasn't even something I was going to talk about today, but just a little bit of a digression there. But back to goals. One of the things that I like my clients to do is separate themselves from their goals, and understand that no matter how close you are to them, whether you just started that journey, whether you feel like you've been working towards them for years and you're still not quite there, you are different than your goals. You are separate from your goals and you are enough regardless. You are a whole complete human being, whether or not you've lost that 20 pounds that you've been trying to lose, or whether or not you can squat that weight that you've been trying to squat for the longest time. And, our brains can only do so much at once. And if we're focusing on what we are not, then we can never truly get to that point where we are progressing to what we really want to be. So that's another thing that I really try to hammer home is you are not your goals. You are two separate entities. And regardless if you never get there, you are still enough. And just showing up and doing the work, A, is going to make you healthier regardless of whether or not you hit those goals. And B, you're already doing more than half the people that complain about their body and, say that they hate their body and are cruel to their bodies. So you are already steps ahead of those people. And types of goals, body, sorry, I have my notes, but I'm kind of going back and forth a little bit. But like I said, body positivity does not mean complacency. That's that first step, right? I love my body, which is why I work out. I don't, some people may say I love my body and I don't really like working out and I feel like I'm fit and that's where they want to be. That's fine. And, everyone's journey is different. So we can always be working towards healthy change while we are still loving our bodies no matter what. Fitness is not a one size fits all. So you're going to see that not everyone takes the same amount of time. Not everyone's journey is a linear progression. Sometimes we go up and down in cycles. We're human beings, especially as women, with our cycle that we have, that affects the way that we train. There's a point in our month that we're not as strong or we're a little bit more lethargic. That's something I used to struggle with all the time, is letting that week of the month and even the week before that make me feel like, oh, I've become so lazy this week, or, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything this week. I'm such a lazy piece of shit. And, but those are the things that I used to say to myself. Like, that's the honest verbiage and the honest, conversation that I used to have with myself. And part of that is, accountability is huge, but then to also say, yeah, I'm not as strong as I was last week, this week, with just the way that our bodies work. Like, that is part of it as well. And I have one testimonial from a client that I want to read to you guys. And it just completely embodies why I do what I do. And I'm so proud of her. And it made me really emotional when she shared this with me. But I had posted this, so I'm reading from my phone just to read her words. But her name is Meg, and she's been training with me for a couple months now. And just like as like a disclaimer or a trigger warning, she has struggled with eating disorders in the past, and feeling like all she wants to do is be thinner, smaller, skinnier, and that's always been like her main goal. So Meg said, I have struggled for 10 plus years with eating disorders and body dysmorphia, sometimes irrationally hating my body for the smallest things, from stretch marks to wanting a piece of cake at my own birthday party. Only recently have I been able to look in the mirror and love myself, and to say that that is an accomplishment is an understatement. I realized that food doesn't have to have restrictions, and that I can still be happy with myself even though I'm at my highest weight. While it's taken a lot of mental and physical work to get here, I also believe that working out with Molly has attributed greatly to my mindset of being healthy and strong, rather than just constantly trying to lose weight and shed fat. It's all a journey, and I'm so glad that Move Mobile is a part of mine. So that was, I was super grateful that she shared that with me. Made me very emotional. I teared up a little bit, but that's exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to making sure that our goals are healthy between the ears. And that took a little bit for Meg. Like, we had been working out for probably like 2.5 months before she shared that with me. And she'd come in the early stages and talk about how she weighed herself, and she's like, I'm still at the same weight. And I'd be telling her, I'm like, listen, I understand that you're still at the same weight, but the number on the scale means nothing. Means essentially nothing. As far as progress goes, I like to track my clients' progress either with pictures or with measurements, to really get a sense of the way that the body composition is changing. Especially with strength training, you're going to be gaining muscle while you're losing fat. So you are almost always going to either stay at the same weight, sometimes even gain weight, while you are becoming smaller, more toned, more fit, more strong. You'll see those pounds shed if you're someone that needs it. Not everyone needs to lose weight. Some people, I used to call myself skinny fat, where we think we're fat, but it's just because we don't have as much muscle as we could be having. So that was super, super important to me, and I wanted to share that with you guys because it completely embodies the mental training that I like to try and implement and shift us away from just trying to be smaller and shrink ourselves to being confident and taking up space and becoming stronger, and really just learning to love our bodies no matter where we are. Like, Meg is still trying to lose weight. That's still part of her goal, to get stronger and to continue to lose a little bit of weight. I wouldn't classify her as overweight necessarily, but she would like to shed a little bit of fat. And that's still a goal of ours. But now that we have a little bit more of a healthy mindset towards that goal, and she has learned to love the feeling of getting stronger, which is something that she said that she's really never felt before. She doesn't really have much of a background in athletics, so she's never really been put through, like a lift or a strength training with like a team or anything like that. So feeling stronger is a new feeling for her that she has really learned to love. And that makes me the happiest trainer in the world, that I can help her to make that mindset shift, rather than just having her come in, work out, and leave, and still feeling like she's struggling with accepting who she is and the body that she was gifted. So before I continue, does anyone have any questions so far? I know you guys are muted, but if we can put them in the chat if anyone has anything that they wanted to ask me. Okay, well, if you do, just go ahead and send a message in the chat, or you can unmute yourself to, how do I get that to go away? There we go, sorry. Okay, so continuing on. So back to Move Mobile. So I definitely still offer mobile services. However, like I said, I do have the space here at Softball Central. Mobile sessions versus sessions in-house will obviously look a little bit different. I've got some things here that can't travel with me necessarily, like a squat rack and barbell. Some of those things can't necessarily come with me, or like a cardio machine. I do have a rower. That's the only cardio machine that I have in here. I'm not fond of treadmills or different treadmills, ellipticals. Ellipticals, I guess, are better on the joints, but you know, I'm not a trainer that's going to program in a ton of cardio for you. I would rather do some strength training along with some HIIT, so like some high intensity interval training, where we're getting that heart rate up, but we're also using weights and doing movements a little bit faster with lighter weight, more repetitions, less time in between. That's also going to get you to burn some fat and lose some weight there, rather than just spending an hour on a treadmill and getting super bored and losing interest in that. I for myself can't do that. I think that's a little bit contributed to my ADHD, but that is absolutely no fun for me, and I know it's probably not fun for most of my clients. So like I said, there's some things in here that can't necessarily go with me, but there's plenty of things that can. So as you can see behind me, I've got a bunch of bands. I have some med balls, a bunch of dumbbells and kettlebells, and I'll give you guys a little quick tour of the room towards the end here. But I just wanted to touch on that. So I do still offer the mobile services. However, what I bring with me that day is based on the program for the day. So, you know, I'm not necessarily going to bring everything with me every time. If I know that we're doing a workout where I need a set of dumbbells, a band, and maybe one kettlebell, that's probably all I'll bring. But everything is, you know, pre-planned and customized for the individual. So I'll know exactly what I need to bring with myself for your session. And the mobile sessions can be at home, whether inside or outside. We can meet at a local park. Like I said in the beginning, I did a lot of Delaware Park and Hoyt Lake, which is a pretty nice view. So it's not too bad working out over there. I still currently have one client that does take advantage of the mobile. And this kind of plays into the accessibility part of it as well. And so I wanted to touch a little bit on her. She is a mom of 3. She has a 4-month-old baby that falls asleep in my arms when I'm training her sometimes. So I love that I get a little baby time whenever I go over. Her kids are really great, but you know, she wouldn't really be able to come to me, so I come to her. And part of her situation is also that she's Muslim. So if she were to come here, she would not be able to work out around any men, just as part of her faith, which the room itself would definitely accommodate for that. It is a very private. Right now I have the door closed. There's blinds on the windows, but the windows are only to the outside, and there's typically no one really out there. But she would also be wearing her hijab if she was working out here and not at home. So when I go to her house at home, she doesn't wear it. She's a lot more comfortable. She, you know, gets to kind of feel a little bit more at ease, not as hot, and it can definitely get a little warm trying to work out with something like, even if you have a hat on, definitely starts to get a little warm. So I wanted to touch on that example as well, because accessibility is one of my biggest reasons why I started this. I don't want there to be anything in anyone's way. I don't want there to be any limitations for anyone, whether it's a mobile session or a session in here. You know, if I don't have the same equipment at your house that I would have here, that plays into exactly why I do this, and what I'm really passionate about is that we don't need a fancy gym or fancy equipment. You know, I'm going to continue to expand this place and make it even better and even more awesome and have some more tools and toys for you guys. But at the end of the day, if we can move our body, if we can continue to progressively overload, if we can elevate that heart rate and work hard on a consistent basis, no matter what you have, you're going to find results. If you have one set of dumbbells, but you're working hard consistently and you're finding ways to continue to make it more challenging, you will find results. So that's why I still wanted to offer mobile services, A, for the accessibility, and then B, just to also prove a point, is that you don't need a fancy gym to work out, feel fit, or accomplish your goals. Alrighty, what else did I want to talk about? All right, so how to start training with me. So pretty simple. Whether it's mobile training or training in-house, on my Instagram, that is move.mobile. Dot is in like period, so move period mobile on Instagram. I have a link in my bio that is a physical activity readiness questionnaire. And that just kind of covers my bases from like a health standpoint. So there's a bunch of questions in there, about like, has your doctor ever, recommended you to not work out for a certain amount of time, or any health conditions, just kind of checking all those boxes, I should say, to make sure that I have like a good understanding of whether or not you are healthy enough to start a strength training program. So I take that part very seriously. I want to know if you're on any medications, if you have any conditions, anything like that. And then you can also, there's a part in there in that bio, or in the questionnaire that is in my bio, that you can tell me a little bit about your goals. If you have any equipment at home, it's good for me to know, because if you've got dumbbells and I don't have to lug my dumbbells to your house, we'll just use yours. So you can talk to me a little bit about what you've got, what you want to do, what your goals are. So just kind of like, that's the first step usually. And then you put your contact information in there, your phone number and your email. And from there, I review all that, send you a message, and your first assessment. So the first session with me is always an initial assessment. So once I have that readiness questionnaire, I read over that a little bit, and then I run you through some movement screens. So we don't just start working out off the bat. So I have to know a little bit about some of your form, whether or not you have some muscular imbalances or some joint imbalances, just kind of see how things look. If anything locks up on you, just get a general sense of how you move. So then I can go from there and create a custom program for you that'll be at an appropriate progression that isn't going to kill you right off the bat, is going to continue to progressively overload and get you to continue to train in the long term, and not just kind of hammer you for a week and then you can't move your body. So everything is custom and everything is appropriate. I have clients that are in their teens all the way up to their 50s. So it is absolutely appropriate for any and all ages. Granted that you don't have any restrictions like from a physician. So a little bit about my training style. So I've touched on this a bunch already, but I'm very much into strength training, strength and HIIT. I incorporate HIIT, so some high intensity interval training, with some of my clients that have a little bit more of a weight loss focus, so that we can get that heart rate up and we're not just building muscle without also trying to shed fat at the same time. But strength training has tremendous benefits to it. Just from the American Cancer Society alone, so just like very general, the benefits of strength training: increased muscle mass, stronger bones, increased joint flexibility, weight control if you're someone that is looking to lose weight, and increasing your balance. So those alone are some of the awesome benefits to strength training that you can't necessarily get when you're just running on a treadmill for an hour. Which, I mean, you are going to end up actually burning more calories by strength training than you would just running and running. I actually saw a post, it wasn't my own, but I saw a post from a fellow trainer that said, and it was talking about running outside, which I rarely do because I have really flat feet and I get really bad shin splints. So my knees don't love me running outside. But he said, you don't run outside to get fit. You get fit so that you can run outside. And that made so much sense to me. Like if you haven't worked out in forever and you just put your sneakers on and go outside, the chances of you feeling like you got hit by a truck when you're done with your run are pretty high. If you don't have your joints nice and flexible, if you don't have that muscular strength, if your endurance isn't up, just kind of pounding our feet against the pavement when it's something that you're not used to can be really bad for your knees and for your ankles and your joints. So that's a huge reason as to why I love strength training. And selfishly, I love it myself. That's what brought me out of a place where I was really self-conscious about my body. The more weight I started to move, the more confident I got. you're going to tell me that you're going to deadlift 300 pounds and not feel like the baddest bitch alive. You know what I mean? Like, that is what helps give you that confidence, in my opinion. And like I said, the HIIT style portion is definitely targeted to elevating that heart rate and getting you to burn some of those calories, if that's something that is a goal of yours. But like I said before, I am at Softball Central, so I'm in my little room. So I'll give you guys a quick little tour, and after that, I'm pretty sure I've covered pretty much everything that I want to talk about. But just to like kind of finish up before I tour the room a little bit, there really are no shortcuts, and we see a lot of that. Like I was talking a little bit about the internet culture and like toxic diet culture, and just some of that like toxic rhetoric that comes from the fitness industry on a global scale. There isn't any shortcuts. You'll get those, tummy tea advertisements, or people that tell you that this is what I ate in a day and I lost 10 pounds in 1 week. And it's like, those things are either A, just not factual, or B, they're not sustainable. So it can sound intimidating to say there are no shortcuts other than consistent hard work. But at the end of the day, that is something that you have control over. If you show up, you stay consistent, and you put the work in, you're going to get healthy. Whether or not you look like those girls on the internet or not, or the men on the internet that you're seeing, that's something that we can try and dismantle from the inside out. But staying consistent and putting in that work is going to get you those goals that you want. So it can be a little intimidating, because who wouldn't love it if we could just figure out a way to make a weight loss pill, or some kind of shake that we can eat every day instead of real meals. But all those things they're just trying to get your money. I hate to say it, but they just want your money. And part of what I feel is like part of what makes me feel successful is when a client tells me that they don't need me anymore, when they feel like they've learned from me, and now they feel like they have the confidence to go in the gym alone, or they have the knowledge to work out at home and feel like they're getting something accomplished. That makes me feel like I did my job, which is something that I don't think we always see as far as in the industry. People want to hold on to clients as long as they can, or they want you to continue to buy their product that they're selling. So that's another thing that I just kind of wanted to put out there, that like, I want to grow you as an individual. If you train with me for a couple months and you think that you don't really need me anymore, that tells me I did my job. So without further ado, I'll give you a little tour of my space, and then I'll be done talking. But so it's a nice private space. We've got a door here, so I shut that door for most sessions unless it's super, super hot in here, and then I'll open it up for some airflow. But I have a weight rack here where I've got a trap bar. I have a traditional barbell. I have some metal plates, some 45s, some more plates up here. I also have an easy bar that you couldn't really see back there, it was hiding. So I have an array of things. I've got a foam roller, a couple other things to help improve mobility, get your body loose. But one of those things that I was talking about that can't really come with me is the squat rack. So I've got a rack here with some more plates, a bunch of bands, a couple other tools over here, just some more accessory type things. We've got a bench, a box, TRX bands that I use a lot for suspension training, some physio balls. I'll turn the laptop a little bit for us. So got some physio balls, as well as this was the rower I was talking about, Bosu ball, and another box. And I got some more dumbbells and some battle ropes, and a bunch of med balls. So pretty simple, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but it's super effective. I do almost all of my workouts here as well. I still keep a membership at Catalyst, because it's 5 minutes from my house, and it reminds me that it sucks to work out with a mask on, so that I have that little bit of that empathy in my head for my clients. Of course, we are still wearing masks. I'm alone in here, so that's why I have my mask off, but clients and myself are masked up, and we're nice and private back here, and I think that's pretty much everything. feel like I've been just rambling and rambling. So I hope that was informative for you guys and I didn't talk too fast. But I love my little space, and I'm really glad of the way that everything worked out. You know, I'd rather grind for myself and try and put a message out there that I really, really strongly believe in than kind of compromise my goals to be a part of something bigger. So, you know, I like working for myself, and if any of you guys are interested in training with me, like I said, if you want to fill out that questionnaire in my bio, then that's pretty much the way to get started, and I can reach out to you from there. You know, if I seem like the trainer that works for you, then I would absolutely love to help you. But another thing that I had mentioned to Allie actually before today is that regardless of whether or not you feel like I'm the trainer for you, I just want everyone to kind of get a sense of not every trainer is the same, not every gym is the same, and what works for some people may not work for others. So finding a good fit and someone that believes in the same things that you believe in is going to help get you to those goals. So if you're working with someone that views training in a different way than you do, you're going to have conflicting ideas, and you know, it may not be the most effective partnership. So that's another thing I wanted to hammer home. Whether or not I'm the trainer for you, you should be trying to find someone that really aligns with who you are and your goals. So that concludes everything that I had to talk about today. So thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate you taking the time. And Allie, I appreciate you so much for putting this together to highlight some small businesses and some local wellness creators. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for coming.
Right, everybody, give Molly a virtual round of applause, or feel free to, you know, unmute yourselves and clap. But we do have a couple questions that rolled into the chat. If you have a couple more minutes, Molly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So Lauren, I'll start off with her question. She wrote into the chat and said, when starting to exercise, how do you stay motivated to work out every day?
Got it. So that is a fantastic question. And I will start by saying that it truly isn't motivation. Motivation is what helps you when you want to work out, right? Like if I'm in the mood for it, or if I'm really focused on my goals, what motivates me is all those things that I want to accomplish, right? That plays into, you know, I'm in the mood to work, not necessarily in the mood, but like, you know, I'm in that mindset where I really want to get on my routine. I'm super motivated, but the motivation is different than discipline. So what I would say is when you're trying to get into a routine and we're trying to establish consistency, give yourself a little bit of slack as far as what that looks like. So I find that the best way to get in a routine and to have fitness be something that is a non-negotiable, or something that you don't even think about, you just do because it's a part of your life, is giving yourself a little bit of leeway. So whether or not so if you wake up one day and you have a workout planned, you know, your goal for the day was to go to the gym and do some lifting. If you wake up and you are so not feeling it, or you feel like you don't have the time to complete what you already had planned, don't abandon what you had planned for the day and do nothing, but also still honor what you're feeling. So if you're in that mindset where you're like, God, I just don't want to do anything today, go for a walk instead. Or, you know, do something light body weight at your house, something that'll get you in the habit. So developing the habit and the routine is what's going to help push you for it to be part of your lifestyle. That was something that I struggled with a lot, because I felt like I had to go hard every single time that I worked out. And on a day where, you know, I'm thinking, I just don't have it in me today, I would end up doing nothing, instead of scaling it back, doing something that feels a little bit more like what I can accomplish that day. But at the end of it, my mind, I feel like I still did something, and it's still something that is becoming routine for me. So that's a big thing, is like, don't hold yourself to like a rigid standard where if I can't give an hour and a half to this workout, then I might as well just not do anything. 20 minutes, do a 20-minute body weight session, you know, just move around a little bit. And it'll start to become something that is a non-negotiable without even having to think about it. It'll just become part of your routine in your subconscious. But that's an awesome question though, because it can be really hard to find the motivation. It's not always something that we want to do. We live very comfortable lives, and most of us live in a comfortable day-to-day experience where, you know, you don't always want to sweat, and you don't always want to just take the time to go out of your way to do that. So just finding ways to make yourself comfortable with being uncomfortable in a little bit more of a routine fashion makes you realize that you can get anything done if you set your mind to it.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That
Be so
just doing something like every day to get into that routine, not necessarily being motivated, but being disciplined, I think was a really great way to put that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So we have
motivation fails you sometimes, and then what do we have? You know what I mean? When we don't have our motivation, we have our discipline. And so it's discipline along with like giving yourself some leeway and honoring what you're feeling that day as well.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I totally agree with that. We have another question coming in from Amy. Amy says, when starting out, how many days per week do you usually have your clients work out?
That's another great question. Part of that is what they have availability for, whether it is with their schedule or financially. You know, not everyone can afford multiple days a week working out. I try and keep everything as, like I said, accessible, but I try and keep everything as affordable as I can. But typically, I guess the least amount is I have like a couple people that come to me once a week. And they do try and get in workouts on their own. But what I would suggest for someone that is just starting out or isn't necessarily in a routine, I would suggest 3 days a week of some type of rigorous activity. And then if you want to like throw in a walk on a different day, but 3 days a week is definitely a good way to get started. But back to the routine and establishing it as a habit, I would definitely say that doing something every day, whether it is just a walk or taking a stretch or, you know, things like that, doing something every day is going to help it become more habit faster and become something that is just ingrained in your life. But if it's something that you don't necessarily have the ability to do, I would definitely say 3 days a week, whether you're doing that by yourself or like 1 day a week with a trainer, 2 days a week on your own, or 1 day a week on with a trainer, and then just trying to be active, generally speaking, the other days of your week. Say, you know, you're at the grocery store parking farther away than you normally do, so you get a little bit of an extra walk in, like things like that. Just being mindful of ways that we can move our body a little bit more, because like I said, we live in a little bit more of a comfortable society. Most of us have vehicles, we drive ourselves places. Most of us work from home these days, but sit at a desk and we're indoors. Like, we're just not put in those positions a lot anymore where we are being active without even realizing that we're being active. So we do have to be a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for, like forthcoming and like finding ways to be active. But that's another great question.
Does anyone else have any final questions or thoughts at all? You can either unmute yourselves or put it into the chat real quick. Silence. But that is okay. I did just really want to touch base really quick. I think you hit on a lot of really awesome points, especially when it comes to body positivity, as well as, you know, just changing your mindset from what the fitness and wellness industries tell you to what's actually realistic. And I think that's such a huge thing, because, I mean, just knowing you, like, if I were to sit here today and say, I want to look like Molly Hennessy, that's not going to happen. I'm 5 feet, I'm in a smaller body,
right,
and I physically probably can't just lift, you know, the weight that you want. Even if I said I wanted to be as strong as Molly, you know what, that might not even be possible for my body. So I think you pointing out to your clients and pointing out to us all today that, you know, making those SMART goals, so to say, that are obtainable and realistic for where you're at is so important. So thank you so much for your knowledge and your wisdom.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, of course. And you hit on like a lot of like really like great topics that I'm super interested in, like college athletes and like body image and like all those things. So I'm definitely gonna follow up with you on these conversations. But
you see a lot of like this surprised me, but you see a lot more eating disorders within female college athletes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and even male athletes too. I had a lot of friends that I had a lot of friends in college that were wrestlers or track athletes, like a lot of like throwers. Yep, who like were constantly going through these weight changes and like some of the ways that like these men were talking about their bodies. I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
sound like me when I was 15.
Yeah, yeah, same. But literally I think, just addressing this and making people more aware that, this is happening. These are conversations that you can have not only with yourself, but with people around you to support you. So, thank you for definitely bringing that perspective to us today. And I will send out, oops, sorry, what was that? I apologize.
I just said that's exactly why I do what I do. I want to bring that message because I don't think there's enough of it in the fitness world.
Yep, I agree 100%. But again, thank you all for joining. I will be sending out the information so you can either connect with Molly and also the giveaway. We'll be picking that later tonight. So keep your emails or keep an eye on your emails. And Connor, I don't think I have your email, but I'm sure I can get it from Katie. So I will definitely be in contact with all of you guys. And again, any questions that you come up with, after this ends, feel free to message me or message Molly. We're both open to, we're both open to having conversations. So thank you all again for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Molly. Great presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.